Hello and welcome to a Let's Play. I'm your host Imperialis, and today we are going to be starting a game of Might and Magic 3 Isles of Terra. This is a game that really, one of about 3 or 4 games that kind of defined my childhood, or at least my junior high years. I was living in... Oh, I'm just going to actually shut up now and let him talk.
I am Shelton, guardian of Terra. Twice now you have defeated my test, thinking yourself worthy of invading my world. Walk carefully then through this third challenge, and take heed your final decision is truly what you desire. For the course of destiny cannot be turned once set in motion, until our next meeting, mortals.
Okay, so that was Shelton, which, if you heard what he said twice now you've defeated my test. Because this is the third game in the series, it actually ties in with the first two. And Shelton is the villain of the first 3, actually the first 5 games to one degree or another. He's basically an alien who was part of a race of beings called the Ancients that created life. And he went a little crazy. And to deal with him, the Ancients sent a man called Korak, or another alien, I guess, called Korak, to basically put him in his place and bring him back for justice, or whatever the case may be. And the first 2 games were set on different worlds. The first one was called Varn, and the second one was called Kar, I believe. And the third game, you're continuing to follow, or Korak is continuing to follow Shelton. The first 2 games you could actually play as the same group of adventurers. The third one, you're a whole new group of people. And Shelton has fled back to his home planet of Terra. And since it's a planet that is run by an evil alien, naturally things are fairly messed up, but Korak needs to try and track him down, and you are the adventurers that he uses to do so. So, anyhow, like I was saying at the very beginning, before I got cut off by Shelton there, this was a game that I played a lot of when I was a teenager. I was living in South America at the time, in Argentina. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it down there. It was a wonderful country. But it's still very out of place. Like, there was a lot of stuff that you couldn't do, a lot of sort of normal teenager-y things that you couldn't do, just on account of the language barrier and everything like that. And one of my dad's co-workers who traveled back and forth between Canada and Argentina quite a bit, would sometimes bring me computer games down. And one of the games he brought was Might and Magic 3. And I played the daylights out of this. I spent so much time on it. And it's actually the only time I ever beat the game, was when I was in junior high. I've played through it a few times since then, but a save will get corrupted, or a hard drive will crash and I'll lose the save, or get distracted by something else. But I'm going to try and play through it start to finish again here, because it's been a long time. So, I've already created a party, just because I figured you guys probably didn't want to sit there and watch me rolling dice for half an hour or more. And so let's do introductions. First up, we have Belvedere, the Knight. High might, high endurance, reasonable accuracy. Those are sort of the 3 key stats for anyone you want to bash people in the head. So he's pretty standard. We've also got Renar, the Dwarf Barbarian. Again, same deal, might, endurance, a bit of a higher accuracy with him, which is always nice. Hits more often. Next up, we have Helmuth, the dwarf robber. Robbers are a bit of an odd class. I bumped up his endurance, and his luck is very high. His might not so much, but he's not really a frontline fighter. They can hold their own, but there's nothing too special about them in a fight. And after this, I get into the casters. First caster is my nature magic user. There are 3 types of magic in Might Magic. 3 at least. There's nature, clerical, and arcane. And nature sort of combines some of the spells from both the clerical and arcane, but they also have some unique spells of their own that are quite important to have, like Walk on Water, and I believe Town Portal is also a nature spell, both of which are extremely useful. But that said, outside of those 3 spells, you don't really need a nature magic user for much of anything. So I focused Mira here, my ranger, on being more of a fighter. So high might, high endurance, and then the intelligence and personality, which are the 2 stats that nature magic users draw on for their spells, aren't as high, simply because they aren't as important. Other than those nature magic spells in particular, the only thing she's going to be casting is like light and serving as a bit of a backup healer in case my cleric goes down, to heal the cleric, basically. After that, we have Ilnice, the gnome cleric. And again, you can see I bumped points into might and endurance, but also personality, because personality is where clerics get their spell points from. She's actually a pretty good character overall. I mean, the only thing that kind of stinks for her is her speed, but I don't mind my clerics having low speed because it means they can kind of act after everybody else and cast healing spells as needed at the end of the round to get everybody ready for the next one. And last up we have Gandora, the elf sorceress, or sorcerer, but she is a she, so it would be sorceress. I tanked her might, which I had good stats for everything else, and I felt I didn't need the might all that much. High intelligence, because that's what sorcerers need. High speed, because I like my sorcerers to go early on in initiative, so they can bust out the heavy damage spells early on, and then the fighters and everybody else can kind of mop up. Reasonable accuracy, blah blah blah, doesn't really matter. So, other than that, I'm pretty well good to get started here. There is one thing I want to do real quick, is pop back in here, because I forgot. I did accidentally, when I was building the party, I accidentally sold the thief's equipment, but I need to buy a new set of another short bow, something I forgot to do earlier, and I already cleared out the miscellaneous items. But I had forgotten to buy a short bow, which is important, because having more arrows to shoot is always good. Okay, so I'm pretty efficient with the early part of the game, at least, and rather than mucking about in Fountainhead, I'm going to go off and clear the area around Fountainhead first. Now, I've buffed up I went to the temple and donated, and if you donate a few times, it's random based on the day between 1 and 6, they will cast a whole schwack of spells on you. They'll cast Bless, Power Shield, Holy Bonus, and Heroism, which give you overall stat bonuses and stuff like that. They bump your AC up. So I had to donate twice, which meant that I got a +2 bonus. So the more times you have to donate, the bigger your bonus will end up being. But 2's fine for what I'm doing, so we're just going to leave Fountainhead and get started. Clearing the area around. Notice we've got a whole mess of goblins here. Fortunately, goblins are pretty weak. shooting arrows at them. Putting some serious hurt on them. Now, how badly damaged did you get in that? You've got 2 hit points left. That needs a heal. Gotta watch hit points, especially on your sorcerer in the early game, because they go down easily. So this is a wagon. And wagons will often, as you can see, obviously it's a wagon. But the wagons will have, sometimes they'll have NPCs in them, and other times, like this, if we go in, we'll see that the wagon is littered with bones and filthy stoneware, and the benches look to be set up as makeshift bunks. In one corner is a set of dented goblin armor. Set the wagon aflame? Yes, we will burn it. Ashes and glowing embers rise into the air, floating on the waves of heat radiating from the burning wagon. So we get 2,500 experience for that, just setting fire to the wagon. The other nice thing we get is items. 2,000 gold, and chainmail, maul, boots, plate mail, plate mail, chainmail, and that's about it. It's probably going to be like leather chain. Lapis chainmail, that's impressive. And warrior boots. Okay, so this is certainly better armor than I normally get at the beginning of the game, so we're going to take off the scale armor, equip the plate mail. The warrior boots are going to boost strength, and I can't remember exactly what it's by, but we'll find out in a moment here. So he was at 20, I equipped those, and now we're at 25, which is actually ideal, because 25 is the cutoff for the next damage boost. Sweet. That's a nice find early on. Leather maul is worthless. Brass chainmail is worthless. Lapis chainmail, though, can go to... I'm actually going to give this to my barbarian. No, he can't. Oh, right, the best they can have is scale armor. So we'll actually give Helmuth scale armor to him, and Helmuth will equip the chainmail. A little bit better than his leather armor, and hey, it's an upgrade from for Helmuth in a pretty big way. His AC is now 17. He might actually be, yeah, second most heavily armored person in the party. I tend to use Belvedere, or my first character, as sort of the generic sell everything. Remove that, give her the scale armor. And unload the leather on Belvedere. Brass chainmail is probably not worth... Well, brass... -2 to AC, and chainmail at its base gives 6. So actually that is an upgrade. Maybe I'll give that to Isle Nice. So that's +4, which puts her on par with the scale armor that Mira and Renar have. Gendor is beyond help right now. Other than that, though, we're good to keep going. Now, I won't normally do the inventory management. I'll do that off camera, but it is worth explaining, at least at the beginning, but especially later on when you're comparing Ebony Electro Katana to a, I don't know, Cryo Longsword and stuff like that, and trying to figure out which one gives the best bonus. It's really not worthwhile to sit there and have you guys have to sit and watch me fiddle around with my inventory for 20 minutes at a time. So now you see we're fighting orcs, but here is a very useful well that bumps my armor class up quite significantly. I mean, basically my guys are not going to get hit now. At least until the sun comes up. Because all of all the spells and bonuses and stuff that you get go away whenever the sun comes up. So the spells that the temple cast on me will last until I think it's 6 a.m. When the night cycle changes, and likewise my defensive bonus. He got hit. Cast first aid on him, get him back up. But it's something to be aware of, especially if you're trying to play efficiently. Which I try to do as much as I can, because your characters do age in this. Like, it does keep track of time. Like, we're on day 4 right now, and all of my characters are 18 years old. So it does track the days. Okay, so we have another wagon here, and it's a Rain Street pilgrim wagon, barely standing on its 4 wheels. Search inside. We've stumbled upon an orc outpost. There are maps and plans written in indecipherable scratches on dry hides. Destroy everything. Yes, I will. So this is another monster lair. And the other nice thing about destroying these is it prevents the monsters from respawning. If you don't destroy them, the monsters will reappear after a day or so. So taking these out gets you XP, gets you items, and keeps you from having to fight through the same batch of monsters over and over and over and over again. So, splinters and wood chips fly as you hack the wagon and its contents to oblivion. The orcs will be forced to leave the area when they find their outpost destroyed, and order will once again return to the Hidden Valley. So that one's worth 5,000 experience, whereas the goblins was 2,500. And a crossbow, which is nice. Amulet. Coin. Pike. Hand axe. And that's it. So, again, looking here. Brass crossbow. That's worth keeping around for now, at least, until I get a better bow. At least it's another thing to shoot with. Coin of Sparking. So, if you see an item that says of something, it casts that spell, and in this case it'll cast the spell Sparks. So I'll give that to my wizard, and we'll equip it. You do have to keep them equipped, and it does take up a hand, but I mean, sorcerers can't use shields anyhow, so it makes that less relevant. Crystal Amulet is also quite handy. Amulets and whatnot depend on the material they're made of, and in this case, crystal, I believe, gives a +2 to AC, +1 to AC, so better than nothing. The ones you really want to watch out for are anything that gives a negative to AC. So since my sorcerer has the lowest armor, give it to her. Like that. And leather maul, worthless. Bronze pikes. So bronze is a +2 to hit, -2 to damage. So it's easier to hit with, but it does less damage. But a pike in general does do more damage than any of the weapons I currently have, like the cutlass or the hand axe, things like that. But it does take 2 hands, so I'd have to give up their shields, which I don't really want to do. Okay, so what time is it now? 4:15 a.m. I might be able to make it back to Fountainhead before. Nope, I don't. You can see how fast time passes. And you can also see how much easier it is for my guys to get killed when I don't have those bonuses up. As soon as I get out of here, I'm just going to run back this way. So, I had 2 people get killed. Boo. Back to Fountainhead. And that's why you get the temple to bless you. And we want to heal you and heal you. Actually, why am I donating? Oh, but you see, that time I had to donate 4 times. And so now I've got a +4 to everything, which is nice. But what I want to do first... What time is it now? 11:17. Okay, so now I'm going to go train. When you gain enough experience in Might and Magic 3 to level up, you don't automatically go up a level. You have to actually train in order to do it first. And this is actually one of the biggest in-game time sinks. Because if you look at the date now, it's day 7, and it's 11:19 a.m. And so if I go in here, everybody's eligible to level up, and everybody's eligible to level up more than once. So I'll train them up. So everybody's level 4 now, I think. With the exception of Helmuth, who's level 5. But now, if I go out again and we look at the time, it's day 13. So that took 6 days. And if you're training one character at a time or something like that, it can be a massive time sink by the end of the game. And so usually what I try to do is I'll wait until everybody can level up. And at early levels, make sure that everybody can level up more than one level. Until you get to about level 10 or so. And then after they hit level 10, I just wait until everybody's eligible to level up before I go train. But the other thing I want to do, since it is still daytime, how much gold do I have? I've got 8,500. I'm going to keep a little bit back because there's some spells I want to buy. But we can bank our money as well. So we're going to deposit gold. We're going to deposit 6,000. And hopefully that should leave me enough. Though I have some junk to sell as well. So, but the bank will earn you interest. It earns 1% a day, which is friggin' fantastic. And later on in the game, gold becomes a major issue because training gets astoundingly expensive. Oh, that's one other thing too. Like I said, I have played this before. I know all the keywords for the magic portals, but I'm not going to use them until I find them. The one exception being the arena. I'll use arena mostly just to kill time. But the Call of Adventures is a call to roam, return again by saying home. So what that means is over here, behind this wall, there's a magic mirror. And we can type in the keyword for a given city, and it'll teleport us to it. There's a few other places that you can also use, or a few other keywords you can use. But like I said, I'm not going to use any of them unless I actually have found the writing on the wall that says what the keyword is. Like for example, I know all of the magic portal words, but I'm going to force myself to go to the Towns of the Long Way first. Okay, so I'm going to put a cut in here, and next episode, now that we're leveled up a little bit, going to go and track down, or go down into Fountainhead Caverns and clear that out. Likely going to wait a little while until evening, but yeah, that's what's up next. So until next time, cheers.